Yeah, so I'm out back. I'm trying to now break in the Savage XL 5.9. I have my Bones Brew 30% break-in fuel. You don't need this to break in an engine, obviously, but I always have had good results with the break-in fluid. It kind of has a higher oil content, so it kind of keeps the temperatures on the top end for braking for me. Um, I'm going to use the stock provided Rotor Start 3 wand and drill. Here's the car. I've found a different purpose for the packaging. I flipped it over and kind of using it as a stand. So breaking it in off the ground so we don't have any issues with the clutch wearing out because of resistance from the wheel if we try to get higher RPMs to keep the temperatures up. So yes, I'm using the box here to use as support to keep the car off the ground. So I'll be breaking it in the way I always break in my engines. Everyone does it differently. I run 2 tanks of idle. I keep the temperature between 230 and 200 degrees. I don't let the fuel tank run empty, so as soon as the fuel tank gets to like 1/3 or just below empty, I will not shut the engine off. I will full it once more to keep the engine on and the fuel feed rate at a constant level. So I'll be monitoring the temperature and the sound as I break this car in. After my second tank, I will do the on-road driving part throttle on the third tank, right? And obviously there's a shutdown between the second and third. That's where I let the engine get back to ambient temperature, and then I would restart it with the third tank and do some quarter throttle, number 8 figures, figure 8s, and then check not only the engine but screws, gears, check that everything is working okay. Then I'll run one tank again, quarter throttle, and then I would, depend on how I feel about that, I would run either another tank or I go to the fourth tank, which I would increase the throttle there, go full throttle on there, and I do 2 tanks, so 4 and 5 full throttle, and then again I let it sit and cool off all the way to ambient, and then by that time you will be almost through your break-in fuel. You'll have 2 tanks left, and then I still don't tune with the high oil content break-in fuel. So 5 and 6 I will still run at full throttle, but not bang on it too much because I don't want to stress the connecting rod with the higher oil content fuel there. But I'll run out the break-in fluid, and then I will get the normal 30%, 10% oil, and then I would start tuning. And then I find that process works for me, and I've done all my engines like that. So I'm charging my battery for my rotor start right now and my glow igniter, and as soon as that is done, I'm guessing around 30 minutes of charge left, I will start breaking in this car and sharing the results with you guys. Stay tuned. Okay, so I have everything ready here. Just want to comment back on the Bones Brew. Actually, when you buy the Bones fuel, you could get a spout as well. I think it's like $10 extra. It fits really tight on here, so you could feed from the provided container, which is good, right? So I have my glow plug igniter, my flat screwdriver. I have the starting wand and the rotor start drill. I have my temperature gun. So the first thing I'll do is, after I fill the tank, I'm going to open up the carb like so. Then I'm going to prime the system by covering up the exhaust and engage the rotor start until I see fuel coming into the intake line and to the carb. Then immediately stop. You don't want to over prime and flood the engine. Then I will close off the throttle like so, all the way in, leave it like that, and then I would start the car, the engine, and then hopefully it will start on the stock setting. As we see here, that's the low needle. This is the base setting for the high needle. Again, I didn't touch any. I'm not planning to touch the needle. Hopefully it could start. If I could get a good view of the high speed, sorry, the idle screw there. Not sure if you guys could see it, but it's also flush. So I won't touch anything. Hopefully it could start on that setting. If not, I will let you guys know what setting I was able to get it to start at from stock. I'll step away. So as you could hear the car from here, it sounds like it's running high on idle, right? The pitch is really high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to richen or open up the idle gap, okay? Turn the idle gap like 1/4 turn and it's still high. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to richen the low needle. So there you see it. This is not uncommon for the first start. Engine is tight. It's not warmed up yet. So sometimes it will shut off on you when you first start to do the braking. I'm going to put the phone down, I'm going to restart it, and I'm going to set the needles to the correct setting for it not to be too lean, not having that high pitch, and then I'll explain what I've done to get it to idle suitably. Okay, bye. All I did from the last time, I richened the high-speed needle by 1/4 turn, and that was able to get the high pitch sound out. The idle now is, I think, is okay for initial braking, and I'm just going to check the temperature real quick. See how the temperature rises to 200, 204, 205. That's my target. If not, then what I'll do is I'll either wrap the head or I will increase the idle a little bit to generate some heat. So I'm just going to check it in 5 more minutes to see if that temperature is increasing. We're getting higher. So that's still tank number one. It's halfway through it. The temperature is holding stable, which is good. I had to richen the low needle and the high needle by a quarter turn. That could have been because I'm running 30%. It could be because I'm running higher oil than probably what the recommended HPI or force recommendations were based on the needle setting they had. But if you're running bones and your ambient temperature outside is 65 degrees with this R5 cold plug, you may have to richen the low and richen the high by a quarter turn to get the right idle conditions without having it over rev like it was doing before and holding the temperature stable. I'm getting a good amount of oil, so I know the internals are getting enough lubrication. Again, when I use this Bones braking fuel, my temperatures are kept constant, right? The higher bulk modulus of the fuel, which is like stiffness, keep the temperature on the high end, right? Without you have to over revving the engine or trying to heat the engine. It's fall where I'm at right now at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm still able to hold my desired below 230 degrees Fahrenheit on the braking, right? So I will not let the fuel empty from the tank. I will let it run for a little bit more before I refill. I will not shut the car off, the engine off. I'm going to keep the idle to keep the temperature going. Now when I'm done with my second tank, I will shut the engine off, making sure that my piston is at bottom dead center. So when that sleeve cools down, when that head cools down, it does not pinch and hold the piston in a seized position, and you could cause failures there when you try to restart, right? So I'll let it cool down to ambient temperature. That will probably take 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'll put tank number 3 in, and then I'll restart it. And my goal is that I need to be back at 30 degrees Fahrenheit in around 5 minutes of starting up, and that would tell me that the braking procedure, at least at this phase, is okay, because I'm able to get back to my stable temperature based on the settings I have and the temperature of my environment. So I'm going to refill right now. I don't want the fuel to dip below my siphon mark right here. I don't want it to start sucking air and then it would lean out. So I'm going to start to refill the tank. the engine, as the friction goes down, as the piston breaks into the sleeve, you will get the temperature to go down a little bit, which is what you're seeing. So the temperature dropping is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It means that you're actually breaking in the engine correctly, and it's bedding in perfectly. You know, the friction between the piston and sleeves is getting lower. The bearings, the other internals, sliding masses and interfaces are properly lubricated. They're at a good thermally stable temperature right now. So as long as you don't drop, below 200, you're still fine. So yeah, it's looking good so far. We're on tank number 2. When we deplete tank number 2, I will shut the car down, and I will then make sure that the piston is at bottom dead center, and then let it sit for 15 or 20 minutes for it to cool down to ambient, and then I'll restart. Temperature there was 218, so I expect when I shut it down and restart for tank number 3, I should go back to 218 or 220-ish. What I'll do is I will not pinch the line to shut it off. I'm going to stall the engine by using my screwdriver head to stop the flywheel. That's the best way to shut it off, because if I pinch the line, I may lean it out for too long. Because it's probably rich right now, so it will run for a while very lean, so I won't pinch the line, and I won't cover the exhaust. I don't want the back pressure to go up in the engine, so I will not shut it off that way either. I will use my screwdriver head to stall the flywheel, and then I'll make sure that it's at bottom dead center, and then I will explain to you my next process for the third tank. Then I'll rotate the piston. Right, it's rotating. When it's all the way up, and then it's down. So I know the piston is not all the way up in the sleeve. It's at bottom dead center. Then yeah. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove the truck from my makeshift stand. I'm going to show you how much oil is there, so let's do that. So this is the amount of oil that we've collected, right? So definitely was getting lubrication, right? The temperature is right now 155, and it's dropping. I'm gonna let that go down to whatever ambient is in 20 minutes or so. So right now what I would normally do is, best practice is, I would check all the screws, right? Making sure that the idle vibration didn't back any of the screws out. Check for leaks in and around the engine area, around the carb. All right, look for any wear on the gears. Now you want to make sure that you don't have wheel spin during braking, right? So you don't want the clutch belt to rotate. So set your idle and your low speed setting correctly so you do not get any wheel spin. What I also did, because we don't have batteries inside the car, the servos didn't activate, so the vibration would try to open up the throttle. So I put an extra exhaust spring here that prevents the throttle from opening up, so we don't have high idle. I'll put the car around so you could see how much fuel is in the tank remaining. Again, I don't run it to empty. I don't want it to lean out. I don't want the siphon to suck air. So there's no air in the line, just one little bubble right there. That's okay. So it's holding prime. We're not getting any back feed from the carb or the engine into the tank. So far, the system is airtight, right? So I'm just gonna let it sit for around 20 minutes, and then I will fire it back up, and hopefully we could get back to that temperature that we had at shutdown, around 225 degrees Fahrenheit. Stay tuned. Where I'm at, it's 63 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, the engine is now at 67, so I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. I'm full on fuel. The line still has fuel in there, so it should still fire up. I'm keeping the same settings, so let's see if it will get going on the tank number 3. So I just fired it back up. I had some issues getting it to start initially, so what I had to do was to use my heat gun to heat up the engine head, and then after I got it warm, it fired right up. Now I also had to open up the air gap quarter turn for it to stay idling. Once it started to idle, then I brought the idle gap back to what it was before. So I went back quarter turn counterclockwise. Now that was just to get it to start. Now it's starting and idling okay. It's still cold right now. My target is to get it back up to 225 degrees Fahrenheit. So you don't want any wheel spin if you could avoid that, right? We don't want to load up the clutch yet. We don't want the clutch to engage. So, we don't want to wear the clutch in. So try not to get wheel spin. Adjust your idle gap and your low speed needle so you don't get any wheel spin. So I'm doing a walk up. Listen how stable the idle is. I'm almost done with the last tank. So is 160 cc's, I think. So we have what, like 3 tanks left? Tank 4, tank 5, and tank 6. Then I will start tuning on the fuel, not the braking fuel, but the actual running fuel. So we're getting still a lot of oil. So everything is good, right? Almost done. I'm going to also open up this new package I got from HRP. It's the Baja. I got the gas version, so I'm going to open that up after I'm done filming this braking video. Okay, this is the last one now. The tank is almost done. It's right at the side edge there, so I'm going to shut it off now and bring the piston back to bottom dead center and continue tomorrow. So it's shut off. Now rolling the... Cool, so that's top dead center right there. I could feel it, so it's nice and free. It's not in the sleeve, so good. It will stay there until tomorrow, and all the settings, the settings will stay there till tomorrow. When I try to do on-road now, I may have to change settings as I run. Maybe too rich to get it going. If it shuts off, then I'll lean it out a little bit, but I still try to keep it on the rich side until I'm about, I want to say, a quart of 30% nitro, 10% oil. So I keep it rich for 1 liter, right? So that's one of those bottles. I'll keep it rich, and then so my second bottle of on-road fuel, I will start to run it a little leaner and leaner until the engine really wakes up. So again, I keep it rich still, but runnable on 2 liters of or 2 quarts of on-road fuel, just to keep it safe. Okay, thanks, bye. So I'll continue tomorrow with the on-road braking.